lion tracks wandering along the road, complete with cubs as well. Now it's very, very difficult to see in this light, but these are little lion cub tracks here. This is the back of their feet, and then their little toes, all going across in this direction. And there's lots and lots here. So the adult females are walking along. These are the tiniest set. I think this is the tiniest set of cubs. And then there's also some older ones wandering east along this road. Now nobody's found the lions today. I thought I heard a lion softly calling in the distance close to the Nyala boundary, and I'm hoping that that might be them. And since our leopard decided to bounce across to Kruger National Park, let's hope that our lions haven't decided to do the same thing. And these look relatively fresh. This is where Brent had them last night on the sunset safari, just a little bit further to the west of me, at a place called Djuma Dam, interestingly enough. The same as Djuma that we know and we're driving around on. Okay. Let's trundle along here and see if we get lucky. Well, the nice thing about lions feeding when you're trying to look for them. So with the Nkuhumas, you might have noticed, particularly with the cubs, how much noise there is around a carcass. Lots of growling, and particularly the cubs constantly giving off a little yowling sound. And that is hopefully what's going to give the sticks position away. I'm thinking, from what we saw yesterday, that they would also have been on the hunt last night. It was cloudy, it was windy, perfect hunting. The Nkuhumas were successful. So hopefully the sticks were as well. Still got their tracks here. Going straight that way. Now, while we concentrate on figuring out which way these lions have gone, let's go over to James in the tent with something feathery.
I fought it off me, everybody. It's a bearded woodpecker. It has been dead for some time, I'm afraid. It was killed yesterday. It killed itself. It flew into a window, and Gendre very kindly retrieved it. Now, if you are a young viewer, please observe. This is hand cleanser. What you want to do if you've been playing with a bird, dung, bones, anything like that, you must wash your hands or put some of that sort of stuff on it, because you never know. You're always putting your hands to your face to, I don't know, wipe your nose or wipe your chin or scratch your cheek or something like that. And now this bird is, well, he's looking a little rough. But there are a few things about a woodpecker that are interesting. The first is he has this immensely long tongue. And what I'm trying to do is just pry open his mouth and see if we can't have a look in there. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more work to try and get that out. Then the second thing I wanted to show you is the back of the tail here, Dave. In the back of the tail, you can see how stiff these two ridges are. Can you see those two very thick ridges on the feathers, everybody? Those allow the woodpecker to brace himself against a tree when he's making that incredible sound. And in fact, just in the background, which you won't be able to hear on the current microphone, there is another bearded woodpecker going da 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 da, and they brace themselves. You can see these are really stiff, short feathers that they brace themselves against the side of a tree with. Then let's have a look at what we call zygodactyl feet. The zygodactyl feet here, there are two claws facing frontwards and two claws facing backwards. And I hope these are not going to snap off. Oh dear, I think we may have just broken a bone there, but that's all right. The woodpecker is beyond feeling that these days. There are the two in front. Can you see that, Darby?
Yes.
Two in front there, those two, and the two at the back there, those two. And what they do, of course, very effectively hold onto the tree, braced with the tail there, and then this incredible chisel-like bill, which I'll turn towards you now, is able to dig away I'm afraid this particular woodpecker's drilling days is over. David, appropriate name for the woodpecker?
Would be Woody.
Woody the woodpecker, exactly. Very nice. Now this one was a male. You can tell that by his little red cap. And of course, they're all got a red cap. But the littlest one around here, the cardinal woodpecker, has the most obvious red cap. And you can see why he would be, very similar to this, but you can see why he would be called a cardinal, because it looks rather like the bishop's cap. Now, we can have a look at this with the microscope as well. Let's have a look at the top of the skull, the top of the head, the red feathers. There we go. Now, ever since we found those lions the other day with their sarcoptic mange, which is caused by a mite, we have been desperately trying to find a mite. Now, mites you would definitely find on birds much of the time. Right, let's come back to me, Bex. I'll just go to the golden tails at the golden feathers at the back. I'll just go to the golden feathers at the... Oh, let's just go anyway. There we go. Look at that colour. How cool is that? Now that colour, everybody, is caused by carotenoids, which are a sort of a pigmenty type thing. And the yellows and reds and oranges caused by carotenoids. Just about every single other colour that you'll ever see on a bird caused by melanin and tricks of melanin and the crystals of melanin in between air sacs in the rest of the feathers. No greens except in the lories, of course. Right, back to us. So that's our pal Woody. We're going to put him back in the freezer. We want to maintain him because he's a rather magnificent fellow. So I think we'll probably maintain him. I'm also going to try and see if I can't extract his tongue for you, because the tongue goes all the way from there. You can just see the end of it sticking out there. And what it does is it goes all the way through the back of the skull and around the side of the back of the brain here inside, which I just think is absolutely astounding. Right, we're about to go to another advertisement break. I think you call them a commercial break there in the United States, so we'll call it a commercial break for you. And just before we do that, I'm going to show you something else. Stef showed you... No, he didn't, actually. Never mind what I said there. But what we have here is the swelling caused by what we call a gall midge. And that lives on the silver cluster leaf tree. And we're going to have a quick 10-second look at it under the microscope. And you can see where all the little midges have popped out. Isn't that cool? I think that's rather amazing. So lots of little midges came out of those holes there. Right, don't go away too far, everybody. Go and make your coffee if you'd like to. Come back to the buffalo. Maybe Jamie will have lions. It's all going to be exciting for the next few hours. We'll see you very shortly. And we're still with the internet audience. Lovely to be with you. Obviously, we're not really in an advert break at all. But if you would like to go and make some coffee, please do feel welcome to do so. In the meantime, why don't we have a look at some zebra dung? There it is. A beautiful piece of dung, isn't it, David?
Yes.
Yes. Excellently formed piece of dung. And this is why I say to you, of course, that you do need to wash your hands. You don't want to be handling dead woodpeckers, dung, bones, hyena fragments and that sort of thing without washing your hands. And if you look inside it, you can see that the zebra has been feeding on grass almost exclusively. And I'm going to break this up, put it under the microscope and see if there are any mites in there. While we do that, Stefan is still trailing the buffalo herd, which I hope very fervently is going to arrive with Ronald the Rover fairly shortly.
We have stopped following that buffalo herd actually. We've decided that it was getting a little bit too thick and the termite mounds were getting too few and far between to remain safe. So what we've done is we've walked in the opposite direction to those buffalo and we're heading to a landmark, that green tree that you see way down there. I want to go and see, I know it's a weeping boer bean from here, but I want to go and see if we can see any flower buds on it. My quest at the moment. Alright, we're just quickly sending over to Jamie so we can reboot this bushpack quickly.
bushwalk. I've been for a little stroll myself. The lion tracks have disappeared straight off into the block to my left. It's a massive, massive block. And what we're doing now is just looping around the area to see whether or not they pop out on the other side. Let's see whether we can't figure out where the sticks have gone at some point last night. Everything seems to have gone into hiding on Cheetah Plains. Perhaps the weather, perhaps the windiness. All the animals have or this was the fact that an entire Nkuhuma Pride walked straight through this area. Okay. I actually have no idea where I am. I have a rough idea where I am. I have no idea what this road is called. Oh, I think I've hit the boundary. Marvellous. I do know where I am now. To my right, left, a cheetah.
We're just looking at various things. Sorry about that. The slight signal breakup, southern reaches of Cheetah Plains, not entirely unexpected. Right. Got me a little unawares. I haven't managed to get hold of the woodpecker's tongue yet. I'm just going to quickly put the zebra dung underneath the microscope. And there we are. Unsurprisingly, David, it looks like chewed up grass.
Yes.
That's not very surprising, really, is it?
No.
Not entirely from the top drawer of fascination, I'd say. In fact, this might be the very last time that I look at zebra dung underneath a microscope. I suppose if you were artsy-fartsy, you might find that quite an attractive picture. But I think it's fairly disappointing. Right, but just before we go back into TV, let's, obviously that's imaginary TV, but let's try and open up this woodpecker's beak. This is going to be probably slightly difficult for those who are sensitive viewers. I can hear the ladies in the final control going, ugh. It is dead, everybody, don't worry. We've just been watching a buffalo being eaten by lions, so really I don't think this is too bad at all. But there's the tongue. That is so cool. Look at that. How cool is that, everyone? I just got to tell you, there's a great wailing and gnashing of teeth going on in the final control right now. They're all scandalized that I've managed to do this live. We are going to show the imaginary TV audience as well, but I'm just going to try and open his beak further. There we are, we just wedge it open like that.
Just present it to me a little more.
How's that, Dave?
There we go.
There we are. Look at that. I'm sorry if you had to witness that and you found it slightly offensive, everyone. But he doesn't look very happy, does he, David?
No,
I must just reiterate, he is dead. He's very dead. He's frozen solid. We put him into excuse me. We put him into the freezer last night. Okay, when we come back to TV, we're going to go to a map. Here we go. Right, check it out, everybody. Welcome back. You're on a live safari from there, the most beautiful country in the world, South Africa. We're on the eastern, western fringes of the Kruger National Park. There you can see us on Djuma in the north, Arathusa to the west, and then Jamie on Rusty down to the east on Cheetah Plains, where she's looking for some lions. Now, this is going to disturb some of you. Well, I hope it won't. It's not particularly delicious to look at, but you did watch lions eating on a buffalo earlier, so I think you'll be okay with it. Look, I've got the tongue out here. Now, there it is. And I'm just going to stick my knife into it. It's all rather grim, to be honest, but it is fascinating. Let me use this feather rather to point it out. It's incredibly sharp at the end there. Can you see that?
Yes.
And it's hard. It's got a really hard edge. You know what your tongue feels like. That bit that I'm pointing to there is a kind of soft bit like your tongue. But it sharpens into the spear, and on the spear you might be able to see some barbs. Let's try and perhaps stick the microscope on those barbs, and we'll just try and see what they look like in greater detail. Yeah, at the moment all I can get is the shiny part of there it is. Wait, hang on a sec. Yep, there you go, Bex. There you are. There are the barbs on the end of the tongue. So that silver bit is the tweezers, but that sharp bit there is the tongue. Let's come back to me. I think I'm shaking a bit. Now, X-Ranger, you're interested to know when I'm going to ask for an X-ray machine in the tent. I've already done that, X-Ranger. We're hopefully going to get a full MRI machine placed just out the back of the shelves fairly shortly. Now, the point of this spear-like tongue, of course, with the barbs on it, is that it stabs into the holes that the woodpecker drills. And remember, the tongue is very long. It reaches all the way around the back of the skull. And I'm not going to crack that open for you now. I think that might be a little bit disgusting. But this thing spears insects out of their holes. So it'll go and look for wood-boring beetles and that sort of thing, stab this tongue into the holes and pull them out and swallow them. And that is how the brilliance of the woodpecker has evolved to adapt to various environments that or a whole food source that most other animals are unable to get at. Let's head across to Stef van Winterboer, who's feeling loving.
We got to this weeping boerbean and I am feeling loving. This is another one of those giant trees that you just have to spend some time around. But this one has afforded us the chance for me to tell you about the weeping, where the name weeping boerbean comes from. Weeping comes from the fact that this tree's bark runs with sap in the summertime. You can actually see it starting in the leftover residue. This is a sap run. You can see here's an old one, and all this white discoloring that you can see is the evaporated sugars that are left behind on the bark when this tree is in summer. This must just be such a spectacular sight in summer. Definitely a tree that I'm going to be returning to as the season grows progressively deeper into the wet season. But just have a look at all of this. I've just been tasting it actually. It's quite high in sugar. Now for those of us who have a sweet tooth, little bits and pieces of sap, tree sap like this, wouldn't actually do anything for us. They're not sweet enough, but
we're live. All right, everybody, we're still fiddling with our woodpecker, but there you've got an even better look at the tongue. Okay, isn't that amazing? We're just trying to get it into a position where you can really appreciate the amazing nature of this tongue. I'm going to try and pull it further out, but I'm not going to do that while live because it might snap off, and that's going to result in people being probably quite violently ill on the other side of the globe, and nobody wants that at all, do they? No. Now, why don't we put a little bit of this on our hands, David? See? Yes. Let's do that. And I was going to go and show you a map, but we'll wait for that. I'll prepare it in the meantime. Let's head across to Bushwalk. I think Stefan is still feeling loving.
I'm loving amber. That's about the only thing that I'm loving to tell you at the moment. I wanted to teach you a little bit about how amber's formed. Amber is fossilized tree sap. So this would be a sap run. An insect would come and get stuck on the sap while they're feeding on the sugars, and then the sap would gradually go over the insect, trapping it inside. And here you can see a bubble of air trapped inside this tree sap. This is not amber yet. It hasn't been fossilized just yet, but that is a future piece of amber. Isn't that awesome? I'm going to be taking that back to James in his tent. What I'm trying to look for you is actually an insect that is trapped. They're very common to find insects trapped in this amber. Although I must be honest with you, I think we're going to have to wait for this tree to start weeping properly before we're going to find any of that. This isn't isn't any fresh sap here, and so insects are not being drawn to the tree by the fresh sap. But as soon as this tree flowers, as soon as it starts weeping, we're going to start seeing these sap runs become more and more prolific. But this tree is so healthy and it's so green at the moment because it's growing on a termite mound, and we call that a nutrient hotspot. In this particular case, it is nutrient rich because of the fungus gardens that these termites produce, and water rich because the termites need water to grow their fungus. And so, relatively speaking, the termite mounds have a much higher water content, they're much better aerated, they've got much more nutrients and micronutrients and trace nutrients used by the tree, and that is why in this forest of grey we have this island of green that you can see right here. Let's go a little bit away from the tree so you can see its full majesty. And you can see the termite mound that it's growing on top of. It really is just a phenomenally beautiful tree. No flower buds just yet at all, but it will come. Have a look at that. Very, very awesome. And you can see from quite a distance away, you can see that white residue on the bark. And that is why we came here. All right. Awesome. We're going to send you over to Brent, who's got an update for you.
So unfortunately those dogs seem to have gone north into the Nyala. So they've crossed out of Waterhole. So we are heading slowly back towards the Nkuhumas and their buffalo kill. We decided to do some bird watching on our way, and I'm hoping the bird that's been giving us the most problems to put on camera recently is, of course, tiny little but very beautiful sunbirds. There's a couple of knob thorns flowering up ahead, and I'm hoping that they were going to find at least one sunbird in one of them. So the most common sunbird species we get here is the white-bellied sunbird, but recently we've also seen a Mariko sunbird, a very beautiful dark green, black and purple sunbird, and we're still waiting to get the scarlet-chested. I've only seen it in the garden at Inga's so far. Now the best way to find sunbirds is to listen. They've got a wonderful high-pitched little call. But we'll see if there are any other birds that might be around as well. Of course, the moment you start looking for birds, they disappear. Remember, if you do have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Oh, he's landing right next to us. Well, there we go. Oh, that was, he flew straight at us. There was a Birchill starling. Andrew is wondering, what is the loudest bird? I'm not sure, Andrew. Probably, I think an African fish eagle might be quite high up there. And the noisiest bird is probably the grey go-away bird or the arrow-marked babbler. But the loudest, Haididar ibis is another very loud and noisy one. The fish eagle call seems to, for me, to just echo through. I can hear a sunbird. Where are you hiding? Now, this is always a challenge, the sunbirds. They're very small, they're very fast. Of course, they keep quiet when I'm trying to listen for them. Okay. Oh, he's gone. He flew away. Anyway, let's keep moving. So someone's just calling me on the Game Drive channel. Oh, there's one there. Oh, where's he going? Can we see where he lands? Landed in that little bush willow, and so in the gap between the quarry and the bigger bush willow, looked like he landed in there. Because they're so small, Oh, they're just teasing us, Brian. Teasing us. Standing by. Copy, thanks. Teasing us, these sunbirds. Now, the reason I'm putting such effort into finding one of these little creatures, they are exquisitely beautiful little birds, so it is worth the hunt. So while we keep hunting for birds, while we make our way back towards the incredible Nkuhuma Pride, let's go see what Jaden's got.
Still hot on the heels of the Styx Pride, but we've been distracted by one of the loveliest antelope species that we get out here. A beautiful group of female kudu. Let's go forward a little bit. We're right on the northern boundary with Nkoro, where we can't follow them, but perhaps they know where the lions are, because they were going, the lion tracks, the last set that I found, going straight towards 3 in a row pan, on top of all of the vehicle tracks, so there's a very good chance they're around here somewhere. Hello, pretty girls. Our kudu slowly wandering off, stopping for a quick nibble on some young leadwood trees. And those white stripes that look as though somebody has sort of dripped paint down their sides serve a very important function for an antelope that lives in thick, dense vegetation. Helps to break up the outline of the kudu. So essentially, especially for predators that don't have vision that is as good as ours, helps to keep them hidden away. And we're fortunate to have such a close view of this particularly often quite shy antelope. They usually prefer to be hidden behind some vegetation, but we've got a lovely view of this kudu cow with her white dots around her face. Just watch the way her nimble lips sort of gather up the leaves that she wants. At the same time, those big eyes protected by long eyelashes as she sticks her face into what is actually a very spiny tree. And each and every kudu comes with a unique stripe pattern. So every one will have a completely different combination. Sometimes they split off to the side, some are closer together than others. It's basically like a human fingerprint, or the whisker spots on a lion, or a leopard. Completely unique to them. Fluffy white underside of their tail. People say that's a follow me signal. So when a kudu is alarmed, they stick up their tail and they dash off into the vegetation, and the idea behind the white is that it's an easy way for them to stay grouped together so that they don't lose each other when they're running away from something. I think it serves a slightly different function. I think it's almost flash coloration. So with their tails up, as they dash away from a predator, if you watch what they do, they'll often run a little way away with their tails up and that white clearly visible, and then stop as soon as they feel safely hidden and drop their tails. So a predator's eyes that will automatically be attracted to the white will not know exactly where that animal has gone. They were glancing anxiously over their shoulders towards 3 in a row pan, and I'm hoping that means that the lions were somewhere there. There's a young one. You can see the total different combination of stripes. Very beautiful, graceful antelope. With enormous radar-like ears, geared towards hearing things at a far away distance, and at the same time moving independently to pinpoint the noise's exact location. See how she keeps glancing across? It is a little bit breezy, which might make them more nervous than usual. Despite their slender look, they are antelope that are capable of clearing 2 meters in height from a standing start. I've seen a kudu jump a fence before. It's an incredible thing to witness. Those legs, though they look skinny, are very powerful. One of the best of the antelope jumpers. Beautiful. Okay, kudu. I'm going to try and move on and see if we can't figure out where these lions have gone. Those tracks are so fresh. They must have come through. I'm going to go concentrate and see whether or not they went for a drink at 3 in a row pan. If they didn't, then we know that they are definitely in that block. In the meantime, let's jump all the way back across towards Djuma and find out what other wonderful things James has for you in the tent.
Around in the sand. What I wanted to quickly do, everybody, is show you the territory size of the Styx Pride, which Jamie is looking at, or for, sorry, and of course the Nkuhuma Pride, who you saw earlier with Brent Leo Smith. They've actually got quite a nice delineation. Brent is currently at Djuma Dam. He's knocking about over here, but the cats themselves this morning were over here, right on their boundary. There they are. That's an adult lioness there, and here's a cub, much smaller. You see that, David?
Yes, John.
You see I've made one bigger than the other.
Beautiful.
Yes. Okay, buffalo, please, is all I've got. Oh, you want to draw the buffalo? Of course, yes. The dead buffalo looks like this, and that's its tongue. Wait, we need the red pen. Hang on a sec, Dave. To indicate death, of course, we need to just put the tongue sticking out. There we go. And perhaps a bit of offal. There we are. Okay, very nice. Now we can draw the territory size. And basically they're on the southern boundary of their territory. Treehouse Dam is over here. And Treehouse Dam is a nice line. There's basically a drainage line that runs like this. And it cuts the territory very neatly. And the Styx Pride then goes down into what we call, well, there's a whole lot of little properties here. There's Hoffman's, Little Gowrie, and this is the Styx I'm drawing now, into Mala, up through Cheetah Plains, and the southern end of Torchwood. It's actually a really nice sort of easy way to, or easy territory, if you like. Then the Nkuhumas, they have a territory slightly larger, well, there are slightly more of them, and they go quite the opposite way, up through the Arathusa, into Simbambili, past the gate. This is community land here. And then into Buffelshoek, probably about halfway through Buffelshoek, where they're replaced by the Talamati Pride, down into Torchwood, and if they're really extending themselves, they do go east into the Kruger Park that way. But otherwise, their territory has this slight overlap there. And Nkuhuma Pride is actually currently, now they've moved from that stinking buffalo. We'll just make some smelly signs there. And oh, sorry, the buffalo is apparently on Gowrie Main, so it's just south there, and basically they're right on the border of their territory. So that's the territories of the Nkuhuma Pride and the Styx. There we go. And Nkuhuma. Right, very nice. And we'll just quickly draw you a Styx cub. Yeah, slightly large scale, and the Styx cubs, of course, have mange, which is like a pox. Very nice. Okay, Brent is back with the Nkuhuma Pride on Gowrie Main, just over here.
We're back with the Nkuhuma Pride. It's a little bit calmer now, and they're all looking very happy and fat. Only one lioness feeding at the moment. The cubs lying all about. They're still making noises, of course. Bow. That is a happy little lion. There's one female who's just moved right behind us. I'm just trying to see what she's up to. This little cub has been watching her. Hey, you. There we go. So, look at those little rotund bellies. Oh. I'm very happy Nkuhuma Pride. There's a game going on here. This little one is stalking. Looks like it's stalking the lioness, who is busy making a large deposit right behind us. Better be careful when we drive out of that one. So stealthy, little one. No, decided it's been spotted. Oh, he's still going to go for it. Oh, well, we wait to see what happens here at the Nkuhumas. Let's go across to Jamie, who's got the other apex predator out here in the African bush.
What a lovely surprise. This is the first time I've seen a spotted hyena on Cheetah Plains. I know they're around. I've seen their tracks before. What's attracted its attention? This is the first time I've seen one. Very, very exciting. I wonder if this is one of the hyena responsible for munching on that buffalo. We're not too far away from that buffalo carcass, although this hyena doesn't look too full. Finished his breakfast drink. Let's try and catch up with him. See how nervous it is. I think that's because the lions have been around, and I think it can smell them somewhere around here. Absolutely love seeing spotted hyena. Oh, is he going to come back? That's a good sign. Come back and finish your drink. It'd be very interesting to see if this is a hyena that we have seen before on our live safaris. I'll stick my neck out and say probably not. I'm relatively certain that the Cheetah Plains hyena are a different clan to the one that we're used to seeing on Djuma. We're quite far away from their territorial areas. And this could well be a hyena that spends a great deal of time in the Kruger National Park, for example, with our proximity to that boundary. See it looking around? It is nervous. It's definitely very nervous. It was still thirsty, but wanted to just make sure that it was safe with its head down like that. Jumpy. Very jumpy. I think this hyena knows that these lions are somewhere around here. Going right into the water. Hyenas are water lovers, and on hot days they will absolutely go and lie right in the middle of a dam, wallow in the mud. Helps to keep them cool. They don't seem to share the same distaste that lions and leopards do for getting their feet wet. Lions and leopards can swim, but they prefer not to. Hyenas, on the other hand, will absolutely go right. There we go. Perfect example. Thank you very much, hyena. Bath time and a drink. What a predator-rich drive we've had this morning. From the lions to the wild dogs and now this spotted hyena. And as Brent said, pretty sure there was a bit of a spoonerism in there, as Brent said, they are one of the other apex predators, probably, depending on numbers, falling just below lions in terms of predator hierarchy. And that's because they have the advantage of numbers, living together in clans of well up to over 20 or 30 individuals that in times of need will all gather together to help, for example, chase lions off a buffalo kill, or even, although they have an unfair reputation of being thieves and scavengers, hunting together. And recently the hyena clan at Elephant Plains was thought to have brought down an adult male giraffe, just to give you an idea of just what amazing predators these creatures truly are. With their sloping backs and slinking walks, they definitely have earned a very unfair reputation. Ooh, hyena. I'm pretty sure that's where those lions are. Powerful intelligence and curiosity might even be going to investigate where the lions are to see whether or not they have a kill. You can see him listening, using that incredible sense of hearing as well as his sense of smell to double check that he's safe. advancing back towards us. This is exactly, he's going in exactly the direction that the lion tracks were heading in. I've got one set of female tracks coming in this direction. They obviously chased some buffalo last night onto Nkoro, were unsuccessful and came back. The reason I know that is from their tracks. So female came back along this route. I'm going to try and stick with this hyena, I think, because there's a good chance it might lead us to the lions. But while we do that, let's go back over to bushwalk.
Talking about lions and all the kills that we've been seeing, we're sitting amongst a bunch of bone shards from a kill, and what you're watching me doing is making a bone tool, a bone knife, for lack of a better word. This is where some lions manage to inhale a zebra. We've got the bottom jaw of a zebra here, we've got the rest of the bottom jaw of the zebra there. That's how it would have fitted in. Have a look at this. Isn't that incredible? And just watch the zebra's teeth. Have a look at that. The angle on them gave me an idea for making a bone tool. I wanted to know if these teeth of these zebra could shave off the piece of tamboti wood I've picked for James, and I'm keeping in a backpack. And the tamboti wood proved a little bit too much for the zebra's bottom jaw. This is quite manky. But what it did give me was this massive piece of bone shard. And I don't know about you, but I find that there is an edge. I don't quite know how sharp I can get that edge. But what I'm going to try and do is see if I can shave some hairs off my arms with it for you. No hairs just yet. Let's see how sharp it actually is. There I'm drawing a line. That's pretty sharp for a bone tool, I must be honest. That, without very much pressure, went straight through the skin there. Alright, so we're managing to get it at sharp, a little bit sharper. And I'm just using this now, working away from the edge, so not towards the edge, working away to the edge, and again. And what people would have used these bone tools for, would be for skinning, cutting implements, for skinning an animal and utilizing all the different parts of that animal, the sinews, bits and pieces of bone. Okay, let's see. I'm not quite happy with that edge just yet. Let's see. Can you see there? How sharp is that? Let's drag it one more time across the skin over here. Light pressure. Definitely splitting the skin. So if I had to push hard, I'd actually be able to cut into my arm, which I don't really want to do. Especially since this has been chewed on by a lion. Lion saliva on the end of that. Not my favorite thing to introduce into my body, but I am going to keep this. I think it makes a nice tool. Alright. Off we go. Let's carry on going with today's walk. I'm looking for a piece of zebra wood for James as well while we're on it. I want to bring him some interesting wood. Basically bring him some wood that we can show you under the microscope. Now Justin, you've asked me what knife is best in a survival situation. You know, I'm quite an avid lover of some blades and things. I'm not a knife collector myself. I have used a couple of knives in the bush. And I suppose it just depends on what your application is going to be. There's some dedicated skinning knives if you're going to be dressing carcasses. There are survival knives that allow you to hack through branches and clear bush and create a house, there are any number of different survival tools. I just use a general multi-tool, which gives me a little bit of everything. It gives me a pair of pliers. I can pick hot things up and wrench things around and pick up you know, whatever I feel like, and then it gets a file, as you see, and a bunch of other things that we use from time to time. As to a knife, I carry a knife on my backpack. This one here, that I bought years ago when I was doing wilderness trails without a rifle. And only because the trackers that I've been working with for so many years carried knives like this in their pockets. Very rare to find a tracker out here that doesn't carry a fixed blade of some sort. So I carry it just for, not for protection. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to use it for. It's just there. But anyway, on that note, we're going to send you back over to James in tent.
Hello everybody, hello. Yes, I'm just fetching one or two things from here. I thought we'd do a little segment on teeth, but while I was down here I thought I would just investigate inside this giraffe's nasal cavity. He has very good nasal hygiene. Well done, Jerry. Not much in there to see. This chair is in the way again. Out it must go. Good. Okay. Now we have a number of different teeth here that I'd like to show you. I thought we'd do a tooth section because Stef was basically recreating a lion's tooth there through that bone that was used, as he said, to scrape meat off skin at various stages. Of course, what he failed to mention to you, of course, is that the Bushmen and the people who used to live in here pre the Iron Age didn't have leather men with which to create their bone tools. But that's okay. So we have here the jaw of not an ass, but indeed of probably an impala. It looks like impala tooth. There we are. And what you can see this side, if we turn it around, is where the teeth are actually erupting from the jawbone. See that? Which is quite cool, I think. Right? That's one tooth. Then we've got a buffalo tooth here. And what we can do is have a look at it under the microscope. The buffalo tooth, of course, has got two different parts to it, just like our teeth have, most of our teeth. They've got dentine and they've got enamel. And the dentine is the softer bits in the middle, and the enamel is what makes those ridges. And you can see it wears out a lot more slowly than does the dentine wears down much faster than the enamel. There we go. Okay, now let's have a look and see if this buffalo had any cavities, if he was a toffee eater or not. He was not a toffee eater. Let's have a look-see. There we are. That is those white bits there, the enamel ridges, and inside there are some sand-covered dentine, and there you can see the dentine cracking. You see that? So that's from just constant abuse and use. It's not abuse, of course. A buffalo doesn't eat anything other than what he's supposed to eat, which is grass, but chewing and chewing and chewing constantly. And I know that, I used to ride horses, and we used to have to get the vet in every so often to file the horse's teeth down, because a herbivore has to chew so much. And quite interestingly, sorry, I was just listening to a question there because I had to listen carefully. What I was trying to say there is that, of course, during the chewing process, the teeth are worn down, which means they must keep growing all the time. So on domestic animals, if we come back to me, Laura, back to me, Rebecca, please. Thank you so much. The teeth of a horse don't wear down because they obviously eat nuts, pony nuts mainly, and a bit of lucerne and some roughage here and there, but they don't chew nearly as much grass. And Laura, you want to know if the gull groove that occurs on a horse's tooth occurs on a zebra's tooth. I don't know. I've got no idea, I'm afraid. I don't know what the gull groove is, to be honest. I will try and find out, and then I would assume that because a zebra is so closely related to a horse, that it probably does indeed have a gull groove, whatever that is. Now, sorry I can't be of more use to you in that particular respect there. Now, we've got two other teeth here. Of course, the canine of a warthog, very large canine. And you can see where the root went. That would have been the root that went in there and kept the tooth alive. Now a canine like this is largely enamel. There's very little dentine in it. There we are. And so it's expensive to grow, and it takes a long time for a warthog to grow a tooth like that. And that's basically ivory. It's exactly the same thing. And then last tooth, of course, which we have shown you before, we've shown you both of these before, an elephant's tooth. Now just quickly to let you know, before we go to the lion cubs, which I can see are now climbing about on the carcass, this is the incisor tooth from the elephant. That is the canine tooth from the warthog. Let's go and see how the canines, molars, incisors and premolars of those lion cubs are being used to eat the buffalo.
More playing than eating, apart from one who's about to disappear inside that buffalo. The rest seem to be very full and more content to play around the carcass. You can just see a tail and a back leg of one. It is wonderful that we are able to spend as much time as we do with these incredible Nkuhuma cubs. Now 3 of the lionesses are lying up on the edge of the drainage line, down away from the carcass, down there in the bushes. You can just make them out through the bush there. The other 2 are still lying up close to the carcass. Well, so far no vultures, but I'm pretty sure they'll be out and about as it gets a bit warmer. This carcass is out in the open. I think the lions are going to stay pretty close to it to make sure that the vultures don't steal it. But look at that, playing King of the Buffalo. I'm interested to see what he looks like when he comes out of there. It's a burrowing lion. I didn't think, well, we're still trying to push it a bit deeper in. I didn't know if you can get any much deeper than that. You can, apparently. Wendy's wondering at what age do the cubs start hunting on their own. Well, the males and the female cubs will probably start joining in hunts when they're between 2 and 3 years old. They're probably capable at 2 or 3 years old, but it's just very unlikely. Now, the rest of the cubs are moving down towards where the lionesses are lying in the thicket. Of course, there's still the burrowing lion cub. It's just everything that's going on. I really want to see what that cub looks like when it comes out of there. Is it going to be... Oh, no, it's going to be a very messy little cub when he gets out of there. Now, the rest of the cubs are running around and playing down below, so that's why we're moving. This looks like a good spot. Not too bad. Not looking too dirty. Having fun in there. You definitely increased your belly size while inside that buffalo. Talking. Give me a clean, please. Oh, here comes trouble to the left. Hey, guys. What are you two up to? Oh, look at this little one. They're just too gorgeous. Even when they've got buffalo stomach content all over them. Okay, well, we're going to keep sitting here seeing what the Nkuhuma cubs get up to. While we do that, James has got an interesting thing to show you at the Waterhole.
Right, we do indeed have something interesting to show you at the Waterhole. We've got some Nyala. Let's go to Ronald's view. Let's go to, there he is. That's not Ronald's view, that is the dam cam's view. There you can see Ronald. That's me now, of course. And we'll go to Ronald's view now. There we are. There's Ronald's view. Wonderful. Hello, Ronald. Unfortunately, Ronald's camera is slightly exposing for the sky rather than for the Nyala. So we've got a big bull who's looking at Ronald now, and a ringneck dove to the left of that, and then also some Nyalas, but there are monkeys going to the right-hand side of that. If you look carefully, you can perhaps see the monkeys. The zoomy, I'm afraid, is not on the monkeys at the moment. Zoomy, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, there are the monkeys. There were monkeys going to the right, and then now just behind the Nyala on the left-hand side. So lots of action starting to happen here now at the Djuma Dam. And I was rather hoping those buffalo might make their way down here. I can see now, we can see now why Ronald has a problem. You see, Ronald is immobile. If you look at him carefully, you can see there that he has a stone stuck in his track. And that is why he is unable to move at the moment. Poor Ronald. Sorry, Ronald. We'll rescue you shortly. Send Alex down now to go and see if he can sort Ronald out. Let's have one more look at Ronald's view, because I think you'll find that we might get the monkeys again. But no, just some birdies. What a very fine view that has been. Very nice. Okay, while we sort out our sort of lucky packet and box of different bits and pieces of things, let's go and find out from Stef what he has found. I see his pack is full of interesting things for me.
You know, one of the best things about coming on foot with us into the bush is that we can get into all these places where you can't really get to the vehicle. Well, of course, unless you're Brent Leo Smith, but normal human beings can't get to the vehicle. And we're in one of these places right now that's hemmed in by very, very steep-sided drainage lines. You can come and have a look here. There's a ravine here. Well, it's a steep ditch. There's just no ways that we'd be able to get a vehicle from one side to the other. And it's just this grove of really rare, precious trees. The most significant are, of course, a tree like this. This is a tambuti tree. And around us here, there are another 4 giants just like him. That one there. That one there. And then through the... Not only are they rare, but we've also got this lovely grove of these trees here. This is a baby sneezewood tree. Now, sneezewood trees in this particular area are almost non-existent. Big trees almost don't exist. And it's because the wood from this tree was used in shipbuilding, in particular ship repairs in the Cape. South Africa being a country that, let me see if I can, well, you're now going to force me to draw you something for you. This is going to... So, South Africa does that with Cape Town over here. And ships that were going from England in the Northern Hemisphere had to pass around Cape Town's Point before they went to the east to trade goods from the UK and from the east. And in Cape Town, quite often they used to dock to help repair their ships, because engineering at the turn of the last century wasn't as precise as what it is today. And quite often ships' propellers over the distance of the shaft had a wobble. And that wobble over time caused stress on the bearings, and those bearings failed. And what they used to do is, in Cape Town, they used to make a bearing out of this tree's wood. So much bigger trees used to be harvested, and the bearing used to look like this. I'm going to be drawing again. The bearing used to be a piece of wood that was shaped like this, and another piece of wood that also had a dish. And the shaft of the ship ran through the middle, and then these pieces of wood were clamped onto the shaft. This wood is incredibly hard and very resilient, but it is also jam-packed full of oil. So as the shaft used to rotate in this bearing, it used to produce heat, and that heat used to release the oil in the wood. So it was a self-lubricating wooden bearing. And because it was such an effective bearing casing or bearing repair, and because the Cape was such an important stop along the route, these trees were almost harvested to extinction. And to see a little grove of trees like this, I mean, we've got this baby one, this baby one, this one, that one, that one, that one, this one, all of these here, there's many baby sneezewoods. In a little grove like this, it's just very heartening to see, you know. It means that after all this time, we're actually doing a lot of good here, and it's for the less well-known things in the bush. Anyway, on that point, I'm going to leave my sneezewoods and go over to the lion cubs with Brent.
Most of the pride is now moved off, away from the carcass. Of course, you can hear the cubs down towards the river system. Just, here we go, the young Nkuhuma lioness. Being attacked. The rest of them all lying up on the edge of the little river system to the left, but let's keep with the, so they've all gone down here. Oh, but while the lions are not doing too much, let's go to Jamie, who's got one of the rarest birds in Africa.
We might not have found the lions, but we have found something incredibly exciting. And I'm going to just keep shifting forward, I'm sorry, and I want to try and get you the best view of these amazing birds. One of the rarest birds that we get out here, critically endangered. There's only about 1,400 or 500 of them left in the wild. The amazing ground hornbill, cousin of the yellow-billed and the red-billed and the grey hornbill. And just look at this, we've got an amazing family group here. There's actually 5 of them. One of them was very definitely a male. There's 2 juveniles that I can see. This is absolutely awesome. Let me just try and shift around a little bit. I'll go into the details of males and females in 1 second. I just want to see if we can't get a view of that little hornbill. So as I said, critically endangered due to habitat loss as well as poaching in different regions. They're very, very big, very powerful, but also slightly silly birds. And what they often do is because they're so territorial, is they smash windows of various buildings, which, as you can imagine, in a place like South Africa where there's a great deal of poverty, doesn't make them very popular. So to see a family group like this is absolutely wonderful. Hold on one second. Come on, Hornbills. You're being awkward. They're all moving onto Nkoro. To see 5 of them together like this is very, very special. It takes one ground hornbill roughly 7 years to reach sexual maturity, which means that their breeding cycle is particularly slow. They also only ever lay 2 eggs at a time, and only one of those offspring will survive. And they do live in these cooperative family groups, so the offspring from previous generations will help their parents to raise the next set. And we're just getting to the time of year when they're going to start breeding again. They've got 2 nesting periods, one in sort of November, December, and the other in around February, March or so. Come on, birds. Just out of reach. Here we go forward a little bit, and then I'm going to show you a picture so you can help us to determine males and females. I saw 1 male definitely, 1 female, and I think 2 juveniles. Come on. Right at the back there. There you go, look at that. You can really see the contrast between a mature individual on the right and then the yellowish skin around the face of the juvenile. I think this might have been one of the first time that we've seen a juvenile with that sort of yellowish face. It's the first time I've seen one since I've started working here. Awesome. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I hear their call every now and again, the doot, 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 doot. Brian's very good at doing it. He's even had a hornbill look at him and respond to him. So we definitely saw 1 female with a blue underneath the throat. Let's just have a look at this. There we go, Justin. You were saying this is 43 on your bird list. I'm very happy to hear it. There's the male there. Very, very large. And with a little bit of a casque, what's called a casque, on the top of its bill. And there we have the female with the blue, and then the juvenile, which we saw very clearly there with the yellow. And please excuse my dirty fingernails because I've been changing tires this morning. Now Justin says that's number 43 on his bird list. We of course encourage all of our viewers to keep a list of the different bird species. I'm going to try and see if we can get one last view, but unfortunately I think they have moved into some very dense vegetation. Well, Justin, that's a rare one to add to your bird list. As I said, only 1,400 left in the world. One of the other reasons that they are so endangered is that they're very, very choosy about their nest sites. Oh, I think they've disappeared. I could sort of see one. And Aaron, you wanted to know how big their nest sites are. So what they try and do is they try and go into hollows in jackalberries and marula trees. And the entrance hole is actually surprisingly small. Oh, they're so far away. Now, the entrance hole that they use, and I've been fortunate enough to find a few ground hornbill nests in my time working. I used to work with an organization called the Ground Hornbill Project in Mabula. Because what Mabula does is they take the second egg, because the second chick always dies. So they take the second egg and they take it off to and hand raise it, but in a way that the animal can then be released back into the wild. So you know they do it with all the puppets and everything, so that the chicks don't imprint on people. That's what they do at Mabula. The last hornbill nest that I found, the entrance hole was about this large. It was a hollowed out part of a marula where a branch had died and then fallen off. And the chick was inside there. Unfortunately, that little chick was lost to a caracal. We think it was a caracal. We had claw marks moving all the way up the tree, and one day the chick was there and the next it was gone. What we also do, or what certain organizations also do, is put up artificial nest sites, which is usually a big empty plastic drum. And you can see, you can actually Google it. We've tried wood. Wood they seem to prefer after we lost a hornbill nest to lightning. They prefer wood, but you can also get plastic artificial nests in certain areas where they have been reintroduced. Really, really cool sighting, and lovely to see 5 of them. Let's head back out on foot and see what else Stef has managed to find for you.
Look at this absolutely wonderful, amazing, terrific creature that we've managed to find over here. This is an insect, an arthropod. It is a superb ambush specialist. That is a praying mantis, believe it or not. Praying mantis, we've seen all different types of praying mantis. We've seen them shaped like flowers, shaped like grass, shaped like everything. This is one that is shaped like bark. Now let me see if I can show you why I know it's a praying mantis. Have a look at the head. Look at those big bulbous eyes. And then usually praying mantis have their claws that extend out in front of them. This particular praying mantis obviously hunts underneath bark slivers, and so its claws are slightly back from its head and then tucked in underneath and must shoot out sideways. But just have a look at that. Isn't that the most amazing of creatures? I was just saying, imagine this would be like walking into your house and then having your wall detach itself and basically bite your head off without you ever really knowing what is there. Just the most unbelievably fantastic creature. This is what I love out here in the bush, what you're looking at right now. Just evolution at its absolute best. And of course, at full zoom like you've got there at the moment, you're also showing off that shake that I develop when I'm trying to hold something still. So we found him underneath this particular piece of wood, and I'm going to be putting him back there because I think that these guys will be able to move, but are really... Look, here's another one. Here's an assassin bug. Look at that. So this has also come out from underneath here. That assassin would also be an ambush specialist, him looking a little bit more like grass than an actual piece of bark. Let's put him back next to the grass here so that he can go back to looking like grass. There you go. You can see he looks almost exactly like that. And we're going to be putting this fantastic creature back there. And then we're going to link to Jamie, who's got some warthog.
Not just any warthog, an absolutely massive warthog boar. And he is so incredibly close to the vehicle. It's been a very long time since we've had an opportunity to examine one of these incredible creatures this close to us. Isn't he absolutely amazing? Look at the size of those tusks. We saw one yesterday that I thought was absolutely enormous, but he only had one tusk on one side. This gentleman has got both complete sets as he snuffles away, and you can see how sharp those lower set of tusks actually are. Snuffling away, trying to make the most of the grass that's growing on the termite mound. Look at this, what an incredible view. Such a relaxed old gentleman. I think probably because he lives on a main road. This is the Cheetah Plains driveway. He is absolutely massive. I would put him at, I don't know, probably about 70 kilograms or so. He's a really seriously big boy with a surprisingly furry skin. Look at those bristles all over him. And what I was going to say is surprisingly tiny feet as well for his body size. They look so dainty with such a massive animal. Here's a really good view of his dew claws as well, his dew hooves. Can't get over how relaxed he is. You can actually hear him snuffling away. Look at that. That is one seriously impressive boy. Those warts on the side of his face, very, very prominent. One of the easiest ways to tell the difference between a male and a female warthog, because he's got two sets on each side. You can actually see them moving around. They're not, of course, warts, for those of you who are new to the safari experience. They're not warts. They are grizzly cartilage that essentially protects his face. Look at that. You can see how the lower tusk slides neatly against the upper tusk, and that, of course, is what keeps them razor sharp. So the weaponry on this warthog, the top tusks are more for show than they are for anything else. It's the bottom tusks that are exceptionally dangerous, the tushes. And a warthog like this would give a leopard a serious run for its money. Look at the dewlap. It's the most impressive dewlap I've ever seen on a warthog. The flap of skin below his neck, also a protective device. I wonder if he's going to be relaxed enough for us to switch on. He seems to be. Just before he disappears. Let's try. Not even a reaction, not even a head up. This is the most relaxed male warthog I've ever encountered in the Sabi Sands. Can hear him munching. He is looking a little bit thin, as are all the warthog at the moment. Let's try again. One more time. Don't vanish, mister. Please. Oh! No, he's changing his mind. He's going back up around the other side of the termite mound. Wow, this warthog has been unbelievably obliging to us. Sticking around and munching around the side of the termite mound. We're going to leave him be and start heading back towards Djuma. Meantime, James is already there and he's having another close examination of something else.
I found a piece of wood outside, everybody. You can see that it has been destroyed by termites. They have eaten away at it, and for those of you who live in North America, as I think many of you do, I know that you have problems with termites in your homes. Well, this is why. They're very good at eating away at the wood. We don't have problems with termites here in our homes because, well, we don't build of wood. But if we did, we would have a problem, rest assured. Now, something that when you have termites here, a ready food source, you're almost inevitably going to have something that is going to want to eat them. And there you will find some spiders. And these are the exoskeletons of perhaps just one spider that has shed its skin many times and then wandered off. It looks to me like a violin spider, but it might not be. Let's have a look under the microscope. Let me just put it on, rest it on my leggies here, so that we can have a good look. And there we are, Rebecca. Very well timed, excellent timing there. I won't make that scrapey sound again. Now just look at the 8 legs there coming out of the thorax. I think that's just amazing. Look at that. There's the abdomen, that's the back of the abdomen there, from which the silk glands exude their silk. And there's another one. I think this is exactly the same spider, everybody. You can see the it's actually called, the head is called a cephalothorax, and then they've got an abdomen because they've only got 2 segments. But you can see that flap of skin there, I think is where it's burst out of its old exoskeleton. Quite amazing. And all around little bits and pieces of silk. As I said to you, much like with the spider we looked at earlier, it's not a web-building spider, but all spiders can produce silk, which they use for various purposes, and this one probably just to hold itself in place and also to wrap its hapless prey, in this case almost inevitably termites. It's wrapped its prey in the silk. Isn't that cool? I think it's very cool. Right, back to me. And what we're going to do now is have a quick look here at a Nat.Geo bush. It's not a particularly astounding bush, is it, David? No, but everything looks slightly more astounding under the microscope. Here we go. I'm just going to open it, and there we are. Lost the audio for a second there. The audio is back. Let's try again. Oh, back to me. Good, right, okay, well, you did see it there, and were you to walk past this bush, you would almost certainly dismiss it as being without particular interest. But when you look at it at the scale of those tiny little micro hairs, it really is rather beautiful and rather impressive, the hundreds of different colours of green and silver and yellow that there were there. Let's head across to Stefan Winterboer. I'm sure he's hieing his way here, looking forward to Amanda's delicious breakfast.
I'm indeed looking forward to Amanda's delicious breakfast.
Why did you break my audio?
We have got to finish exploring. And what I found here is something that I haven't seen in the bush for a while. Have a look here. You'll see there's an egg sac inside there. And it's an egg sac with some protrusions on it. Have a look over there at the end of the stick. Can you see that? Come around a bit underneath. There. That is the egg sac of a recluse spider, and one of the more dangerous of the spiders that we have here. In actual fact, regarded by some as being the most dangerous spider in South Africa. I'm just seeing if I can actually see her. She'd be living in these parallel spaces. Now, they've got the most amazing web structure that you can believe in. She lives in an area that has parallel surfaces. So whether that surface is like this or like this, it doesn't really matter to the spider. She builds this lattice work of springs at the top and then has a trip line on the bottom. And what she is designed to catch is an insect walking along the wood, trips the trip line, and then gets hauled up off the ground into suspension basically by this lattice work of springs, and will sit there dangling in the air until she comes along and harvests him. And that's the recluse spider. That's the recluse spider that we're busy seeing at the moment. That's their method of hunting, and we've got one living inside here. Dangerous for people because they have a neurotoxic venom that travels through your lymphatic system and produces intense pain in your lymph nodes, so under your arms and your throat, wherever you get bitten close to there, and then can also have an effect on your heartbeat and on your respiration. So it stops the messages that tell you to breathe, or I think it's your sympathetic nervous system, the nerves that operate without you having to say arm go there, for instance, like your breathing and your heartbeat, blinking, that sort of thing, and it stops those nerves from functioning properly, which can be problematic. There are a few reported cases of deaths per year for the spider. I'm not exactly sure how many, but definitely can cause some harm. And living on this old dead knobthorn. It's fantastic. What actually got me going over here is this hole. Looked like there was there's a woodpecker being able to start there. It still does look like that, or eventually be a woodpecker's nest or a barbet's nest. And then when I got here, this hole as well. Now that would be perfect for a genet or for some other small little animal like genets and snakes. Pythons will go and curl up there during the dry season. Wouldn't be impossible to think that a python would crawl in there and lie up inside a dead tree like this and wait out the dry season when it starts raining coming out. Haven't seen any snake tracks just yet. Did see a scorpion track this morning. Did see a baboon spider track this morning, and that to me is proof enough that we're approaching the end of the spring. All right, now that has brought us smartly to the end of our bushwalk today. Unfortunately, we will see you again this afternoon. So from myself, Stef, and from Jean-Ray, thank you very much for all your support. We'll catch you this afternoon, and you're off to Lion Cubs.
So we're still sitting with the Nkuhuma Pride. No one's feeding, everyone's got fat bellies. Even the cubs have stopped playing and are having a snooze. Now they've moved from where Jamie was with them last night to where they've caught this buffalo. It's probably no more than about 600 meters. Quite a lot of buffalo around at the moment. Oh, here comes another cub. Let's see if he's going to disrupt the slumber of the others. Or, oh, he's going to go join in the slumber. Oh, the head's getting heavy. It's nice and cool today, so the sun hasn't broken through the cloud just yet. So I won't move too far away from the carcass just to keep the vultures at bay. Hi, Natalie in California. Natalie's wondering, will the Pride get too big with all the success they're having during the drought to be supported by their ecosystem? No, not necessarily, Natalie. Now, at the moment, the Pride, even if there are 4 or 5 females amongst the 8 cubs, putting them at 10 would still be sufficient. There would still be sufficient game around to support the Pride. They might have to move around a bit more. Only when a Pride becomes very big, sort of over 20, 30, normally then will they split into smaller prides. And it's not so much the ecosystem can't sustain them, it's that they can't sustain themselves with that many lions all feeding at the same time. And they generally break off into smaller groups, making it easier to feed. So once they catch something, there's less mouths all feeding off the same food source. Oh, look at all the tired little cubbies. Literally scattered around, all fast asleep, or most of them are at least. The adults are fast asleep. But what an exciting sunrise safari. We've had lions and wild dogs, buffaloes, and some incredible other creatures around. And good news for us is that the incredible Nkuhumas are going to be right here come sunset safari. So I'm sure one of us will come have a check. I'm just very excited. I got to see my favorite animal, the African wild dog. We got to hear them calling. But from Brian and myself, and of course the Nkuhuma Pride on their buffalo carcass, it's been all business, like the thumb says. And it's going to be a very exciting sunset safari in a few hours. So we look forward to joining you for those safaris. What else could be out here? Stay tuned to find out.